Hi everyone, my name is Wisnu Setiawan. I am class in Management 23C. I will presentation is of effect of tax and subsidies on market structure or market price. Okay, that's the material in this. Determination of market price in a competitive market. The demand function for a market is the relationship between the price of the commodity and the quantity of it demanded. Likewise, the supply function is the relationship between the price of the commodity and the quantity of its supply. The demand and supply function can be represented as curve in a graph, such as is shown below. Let's pack and cake the price and the quantity where the demand and supply curve interest. Let the P be the demand function for the market and as P the supply function. If P more than P, then the quantity demanded is less than the quantity supplied. TP less than SP and the suppliers result in the market price being bid down. On the other hand, if P less than P, then the quantity demanded is greater than the quantity supplied. dP more than SP is the resulting shortage cause the price to be bid up. At P, the quantity demanded is actually equal to the quantity supplied, and there is no tendency for the price to change. It is in fact the equilibrium price, the quantity demanded and supplied, and the price is the equilibrium out. The impact of an excess tax, tax. Suppose tax of is imposed upon the commodity and the tax is collected from the producer. One first expectation would be that the market price would increase by the amount of the tax. 2P plus T in this case, the producer will still be getting cake and thus will supply the same amount cake, but the quantity demanded at PEQ plus T will be less than cake, and thus that could not be an equilibrium situation. This shortage will drive the price down. The new equilibrium will be somewhere between PEQ and PEQ plus T. Algebraically, the new equilibrium price for consumer PC is the price such that DPC is SPC plus T. Graphically, the determination of the new equilibrium price is shown below. In the above graph, PT represents the price paid by consumer once the tax is imposed. PT is the price received by the producer once the tax is imposed. The difference between PT and PT is equal to the amount of the tax. The effect of the tax is to shift the supply curve, which is S without the tax to ST T, the shift is an upward shift by the amount of the tax, but the upward shift is the same as a backward shift, a decrease in supplies. As can be seen from the above graph, the impact of the tax is an increase in the price paid by consumer and decrease in the price received by producer. Thus, the consumer and producer share the burden of the tax. In this case, the burden of the tax is equal, shared by the consumer and producer, but that has to do with the relative slopes of the demand and supply curve. From this graph, the loss in consumer surplus and the loss in producer surplus may be determined as shown below. The loss in consumer surplus is shown in pink and the loss in producer surplus in light blue here. The combined loss in consumer and producer surplus is often in part by the gain to the government in tax revenue. But the offset is only partial. The loss to consumer and producer is greater than the tax revenue gained, as is shown below. The situation is analogous to a car burglar breaking into a car and going $500 of damage to get a $550 item. The loss to the car owner is $550, whereas the burglar gets only $550. The impact of a subsidy. Although the analysis of the impact of tax is important, the analysis of the impact of subsidy is more interesting. The analysis is essentially the name a subsidy merely being a negative tax. The effect of a subsidy is to shift the supplies curve down by the amount of the subsidy. Effectively, this is an increase in supplies. The graph below shows the result of a subsidy on a market. In above graph and following graphs, PS represent the price paid to consumer after the subsidy is created. PS is represent the price received by the producer, which is the price paid by consumer plus the subsidy. The impact of the subsidy is to lower price to offer consumer, but to increase the price received by producer. The benefit of the subsidy is shared by the consumer and producer in proportion that depends upon the relative slopes of the demand and supply transaction. The above graph shows the gains in consumer and producer surplus as a result of the subsidy. Although the effect of the subsidy seems beneficial, the important question is the cost of the subsidy relative to the benefits. In the graph shown below, the cost of the subsidy to the government is the gray rectangle, including the colored triangles. The graph shown the balance is negative, i.e. the cost of the subsidy is always greater than the benefit to consumer and producer. This is an important result of analysis. The dead weight loss of the subsidy is the amount by which the cost of the subsidy exceeds the gains in consumer and producer surplus. The triggers are shown in pink and blue. The magnetic the magnitude of the weight loss of tax or subsidy depends upon the amount of the tax or subsidy and the change in production that result from the tax or subsidy. Specifically, that weight loss is one or two amount of tax or subsidy key. Where is key? Segitiga key is the change in output. Since the change in output is proportional to the amount of the tax or subsidy, the dead weight loss is proportional to the square of the tax or subsidy. This means that if the tax or subsidy is double, the dead weight loss increased by a factor of 4. If the tax or subsidy is tripled, the dead weight loss increased by a factor of non-relationship between the tax rate and the amount of tax revenue. College is a parabola from popularized by Art Lover. The Lover curve shows that beyond a crucial point, an increase in the tax rate results in a decrease in tax revenue rather than an increase. This relationship was popularized as a part of the supply side economics of the Reagan administration. The economic effect of tax or subsidy is independent of which parts makes or receives the payment to or from the government. This is important implication of the economic analysis of an excess the tax that could easily be overlooked. In the previous analysis, it was implicitly assumed the producer make the tax of payment to the government. The price received by the producer was equal to the price paid by consumer less the amount of the tax. As a result, if we look at the supply transaction as the relationship between the price paid by consumer and the quantity supplied, the supply curve shifts vertically upward by the amount of the tax. Demand transaction as the relationship between the price by the consumer and the quantity demanded remains unchanged. Suppose the government required consumer to keep track of their purchase and sends a tax payment of the government based on number of units of taxable or goods purchased. If the graph shows quantities demanded and quantities supplied as a function of the price received by producer, the supply curve will stay fixed and the demand curve will shift vertically downward by the amount of the tax. This is equivalent to a leftward shift in demand, resulting in a smaller quantity producer and both the price received by the producer will fall as a result of the tax. The price paid by consumer, which is the price received by producer plus the amount of the tax, will rise. It will rise by exactly the same amount as it would rise if the same tax were collected from the producer rather than the consumer. As a practical matter, is allowed desire for the government to collect tax from the seller's business than from the buyer consumer. Therefore, the government usually imposes tax upon the producer rather than upon the consumer, but the burden on the consumer is actually the same. The same conclusion applies to subsidy. The effect of price is the same whether the subsidy payment is made to consumer or producer is a competitive market for medical service. The effect government reimbursement of medical costs to patients will have the same effect on medical service price as an equal subsidy to the medical service provider. The case of a backward bending supply curve. A backward bending supply curve in the case of labor supplies is a perfectly reasonable phenomenon. If wage rate is particular or patient rates high enough level, the repression of those wage rates may decide to work less rather than more. In effect, the recipient of the high wage rates might choose to take the benefit of the high pay in the terms of more leisure time and hence less work. An equilibrium of the wage rate in the backward bending portion of the supply curve is a completely legitimate economic equilibrium, but the effect of an excess tax or subsidy in such a market is quite surprising and contrary to what was intended. First, we should examine whether the intersection of the demand and supply curve or this type of market is a stable equilibrium. That is to say, if the price is below the equilibrium, thus quantity the demanded excess quantity supplies and result in a shortage that drives up the price, and if the price is above the equilibrium, thus the quantity supplies excess the quantity demanded and result in surplus on the market that drive the price down. As shown in the graph below, it is shown this condition do prevail and therefore the equilibrium is stable when a tax is imposed in market with backward bending supply curve. The effect on the equilibrium price for the consumer and producer is surprising. As is shown the diagram below, the tax result in a vertical upward shift in the supplies curve by the amount of the tax. Likewise, the effect of a subsidy in a market with a backward bending supply curve is contrary to expectation, as is shown below. The subsidies result in a vertical downward shift in the supply curve by the amount of the subsidy. Yeah, this is my presentation about effect of tax and subsidy on market structure or price. I end it. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.